From dungeons to dens to volcanoes, today we're taking a look at some S-tier cave and underground homes. And what better place to start than a glacial cave by Rack on plot number 17. I like how the outside of the home is designed to be like the foot of the mountain, the outside of the caves, where it's still just warm enough for water to flow on the side, while as we take our path to the inside, we're met with some cute decorations as well as a hidden bookshelf door hiding the entrance to the glacial cave itself. And on the inside, boy have they done a great job of capturing that frozen feel. I like that the entrance here is a little unkempt. We've got some items laying across the floor, and we've got a really cool dragon skull with flames coming through. But it's when we come into the next room that we can see the magnificence of this glacial cave, this ice path that swirls up and around the center tree all the way up to the top. Coming up the glacial path, we can see a little plushie hiding there at the entrance, while halfway up we find ourselves in a little study/apothecary. Meanwhile, at the other end, we've got this really cool, fully ice cavern that serves as a living space. And something I love about this home is its dedication to the feeling that this is a naturally occurring cave, right? The entrance here isn't something that was carved out, it looks to be a natural hole. And the main living space itself exemplifies this. The creator has done such a good job of making it look as though this wasn't created, but rather discovered, and that whoever is living here has adapted it to their own needs. I adore the little plushie in the rocking chair, and another cool feature is that opposite the food here on the other side, we find a fireplace to warm the area. And that, alongside the candles on the walkway here, show just how cold these glacial caverns really are, so frozen over that not even an open flame can cause it to melt. Meanwhile, at the very top, we find that a small outcropping has been adapted into a cozy little seating area that allows us to see some of the enchantments at work. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you would like to have your house showcased, we will have a link to the Pank Showcase submissions Discord in the comments down below. But now we change our song from ice to fire with a dragon den by Talaniel on plot number 32. The outside is quite peaceful, with apple trees along the side, a path leading to a bench to overlook the neighborhood, and beside the cave home itself is a draconic shrine. The inside leads us to a long, winding cave network that ends with the dragon's hoard of loot. We've got piles of gold and treasures around the center and a chest in the middle. But as we all know, Drakthir lean more on the people side than the dragon side. Behind the small bush to the side, we find ourselves at a door that leads to this Drakthir's lovely dragon home. The home features a cozy living room with dragon-themed items and decor dyed black to match. Meanwhile, behind the bookshelf door, we find a hidden private study with a nice wrap-around desk in the center and a little goblin lamp to provide some light. Past the living room is the kitchen, where we find foods of all sorts across all the countertops, a custom-made fridge and fireplace, as well as a traditional and stovetop oven. The stairs feature homely decor at every corner, and at the very top, we're met with a full bathroom that features a custom-made toilet. The final room is the grand bedroom, with a draconic-themed bed, cozy furnishings all around, and behind the secret bookshelf door is a closet containing some of the dragon's treasures. And finally, behind the bed is a short hallway that leads us to this magnificent shrine holding and protecting a dragon egg. The throne is cool to see, but even better, if we were to look up, we see a hole to the outside sky with the moon coming through, and wouldn't you know it, that hole matches perfectly with the one found on the outside of the cave. From Dragon Grotto to Seaside Hollow, this is Cuthbert on plot number 40. It's awesome to see how this cave has been modified from the inside out. As we come past the griffin roosting on the outside, we can see that the creator here is going for the idea that they have carved out this cave themselves, that they dug out this seaside outcropping with their own two hands. Past the storage barrels at the front, we find a small shrine on the right. Meanwhile, if we were to come to the left past the well, we find an outhouse out in the distance, a little Murloc-style tower, and a window peering out from the rocks. Remember that because we will be seeing it later. And on the inside, this is the home of an adventurer. I love this gigantic center fireplace that's so big it goes up into the second story of the home. And speaking of second story, the attention to detail on these stairs is really really nice to see. The fact that they've got these wood beams to support the rock outcroppings all the way to the top. On the way up, we get a great view of the battle table and portal down below, which we will be taking a look at in just a moment. Meanwhile, at the very top, we find a cozy loft bedroom, complete with some plushies on the bed, a balcony to look down on the grandiose fireplace down below, and even some fossils coming out of the walls. Coming past the secret bookshelf door on the first floor, we are met with an apothecary/kitchen, where we can see some questionable liquids brewing away in a cage, different magical artifacts across all the different shelves and tables, and something absolutely amazing is if we were to look out the window, we can see that it is the very same view of that window we saw from the outside. We've seen window dioramas before, but the fact that this so perfectly matches the outside goes that extra step further in really selling the fact that this is a working window. And finally, coming through the dark portal, we find ourselves in this bright, spacious, open greenhouse. The detail work of the greenhouse itself and the environment all around it is incredible, and I absolutely love every time I get to see a greenhouse like these, but this actually takes it one step further. If we were to come to the left through the greenhouse door, we find that the cavern itself continues a short bit. Following it through, we are met with this awesome pirate ship dock, and there's so much to love here. The giant wooden doors on the left that open up to allow this boat out to sea, the running water on the right that flows to the pool underneath, and the boat itself has got cannons all over, a large mast in the middle, and on top of that we can even come onto the ship itself to see all the detail work in its full glory. What a fantastic addition to a cave home. But now it's time to put on your gear and grab a healer, because we're visiting the Dragon Maw Caves by Razgarror on plot number 49. And the outside here looks like the entrance to a dungeon or raid, with the typical cave opening replaced by a giant fortified tower on top. The outside includes barricades as well as gazebos hiding some treasure and a cooking pot, while the tower itself, adorned with dragon skulls, features a balcony where we can see a war planning table and a telescope to look out on the stars. And on the inside, this looks exactly like a dungeon or cave network you might find out in the world, complete with Onyxia's head hanging by a chain in the middle. On the left, we can see food of all various different kinds being cooked, while if we were to take the path through the left, we find ourselves in an armory. I love how the choice of decor across the tables and shelves, the weapons on the wall, the potions, the vials of red, all give a sinister battle-ready appeal, that this is a place meant for war. Meanwhile, on the other side is a dining area itself outfitted for combat. Yes, we've got food on the tables, but we've also got weapons and potions along the walls and different supplies stacked in boxes and a war planning table with some sinister chairs around. And I love how you can really picture where the NPCs, where the enemies would be standing if this were a dungeon, where the different groups would be that you need to grab together. Coming through the back, we start to get into the Dragon Maw Caves proper, where the intimidating ambiance is continued all the way to the top. We've even got a stag head cooking in a stew. And this is even a home that doesn't skimp on the details when it comes to the cave walls themselves. The position of all the different rocks is very well planned out, and we get to see fossils, webs, water, foliage poking out between different crevices and holes, and in some cases we even get to see light from the outside pouring in as well. That detail work is exemplified at the very top, where we can see ancient artifacts inside the rock walls themselves, as well as a little outcropping used as a bath. But it's when we come into this main hall here that the ambiance is turned up to 11. I love every bit of this top to bottom. It looks so cool. The gases rising up from below, the fact that above us is a dragon's head hanging from a chain, and that just like before, there are tiny details hidden about the walls all the way around us. Much like a dungeon, here the cave breaks into multiple different paths, all with their own routes and hidden surprises, including down below, which at first glance is just a pool of lava, but if we were to come across to the side, we can see that there is a small peninsula hidden in the middle with a dragon artifact shrine. If this were a dungeon, you could imagine that this is where a rare or a a boss would be waiting. Meanwhile, the wooden path to the right is a bit of a barracks, with more barricades on the side and some living spaces where, again, you could picture some pack or two lying in wait. Coming through the center, past these ominous, hanging, burning chains, we find ourselves in the throne room. I like to imagine that this is where the final boss resides, that you can only access the throne room after you've cleared the rest of the dungeon, because not only is it grandiose and imposing, but the detail work across the edges is immaculate. The dragon insignia in the center, the magical artifacts across the shelves, and the different fossils and webs all across the outer perimeter. I mean, this place just looks incredible. Coming up the slight rocky path to the right, going above the room below, we find a locked gate behind which is hiding some evidence of dark experimentation. And coming out, we can see that there is another gate hidden across the distance. And while normally this would be out of reach for a younger, inexperienced adventurer, I myself, as an experienced monk, am able to use the techniques of the monk to get across on the very first try. Oh yes, I didn't think I'd make it on the first try. In an opening there, we can see that there are different magical artifacts hiding in this crevice as well. This home is absolutely fantastic, and it's ones like these that make me wish we could design our own dungeons and raids, because ones like these would be so much fun to explore. From Dragon Maw Caverns to a cave that has it all. This is Ethostorm on plot number 24, with a home that gets better and better the more you see. And while we're outside, I want you to take note of a couple things. First, obviously, we've got the moon high in the sky. That will come up later, but to the right of the home, we've also got this large windmill that I'll need you to remember. And finally, keep in mind the geography of the plot that they've chosen. The fact that we've got this large, flat piece of land in between two mountainous regions. A fun feature of the cave home is that the slant is actually walkable. We can come up the side of the rock face to find a little seating area with a drink and some books. The entrance is adorned with a lovely little creek flowing across the bottom of the ramp, and when we come up to the top of the ramp, we find ourselves in a short tunnel that leads us to the main opening of this home. Now, this home branches off into a whole bunch of different directions, so we'll be using this opening to ground ourselves. Starting at this opening and coming to the right, we find ourselves in a small chapel, fit for the paladin in the creator's warband. The glowing shrine at the end is lovely to see, but I also like how there's a chalice next to the custom moonwell on the side here, as though it might be used for baptism or communion or, whatever the Azeroth version of those things are. The opposite side features a holy artifact and some weapons on the wall, while the entrance itself features two candle vigils, each with a portrait of a man who will definitely always be a good guy. If we were to go straight across from the opening past the little totem vigil on the side here, we find ourselves in this absolutely beautiful naturalistic room that was themed after the druid in the creator's warband. This part of the cave actually has a lot of really cool additions, such as this water feature behind the tree that is incredibly well detailed all the way to the end, despite the fact that you would never actually see it this close if you were walking through the home normally. But as you'll see throughout the rest of the home, it's attention to detail like that that really sets this home apart. Now, I absolutely love the suspension bridge that we find halfway up to the top, mainly because it takes a long time to position all the wood blocks in such a way that looks like a natural bend, and yet here they are all positioned perfectly. As we come up to the very top past the blue burning brazier on the side, we can see a small naturalistic shrine combined with a little bench to sit back and read, and apparently some coffee that's still warm. But it's when we look up from the reading nook where we get to see something truly amazing. There up above is a little hole in the rock, and through that hole you can not only see the night sky, not only see some stars, but you can actually see the very windmill that was outside earlier. And the incredible attention to detail does not stop. If we were to instead take a left from the opening, we can see that there is a small, tight tunnel that goes on through. The tunnel features some drafting tables and some crystals all throughout. Down below, there's some wood and stones haphazardly thrown about. But when we look up, we can see why. There's a really cool rail that goes across the top that we can see has been broken, with the mining drill that was coming across apparently being too heavy and almost falling through, which is some really cool story building for the cave because it tells us that that this isn't just a place to live, it has some resources inside of it. But it's coming past the mining drill where we end up in one of my favorite rooms of this house. First of all, this creek flowing through it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the addition of the little stones all throughout, and how they've incorporated this monk item with water streaming down from the jade ball. And not only that, but this tunnel leads to something absolutely amazing. As we come into this final room, this opening, and look up, we can see that we are in a ravine, that the cave itself opens up, splits through the middle, and we get a view of the night sky, including the moon that we saw earlier from outside. So it really does feel as though we are looking through the home, that the home itself is a real cave network with openings that we might find in the world. On the left, we've got a shrine dedicated to the mage in the creator's warband, with a glowing purple rock on the dragon's eye as a nice touch. Meanwhile, at the end, we've got this glorious shrine, the bird holding the ball of light, that paladin tome beam coming through the bottom, all of it underneath the pale glow of the night sky. And finally, if we were to come through the opening and instead go down underneath, we find that a cave itself appears to break into a monastery or a basement, maybe a cemetery. Coffins adorn the back wall with red rose petals all about, while on the right we can see a door that presumably leads to the rest of whatever building we are now under. But as if all of this wasn't cool enough, coming through the gate to the left, we find ourselves at a sea of lava. The fires burning, smoke rising up through the cavern, and as we look to the left, we can see what looks to be different pieces of engineering, presumably harnessing the geothermal power of this lava lake. And in fact, that makes a lot of sense, because this incredible lava opening leads directly to the room themed after the shaman in the creator's warband. Coming across the magma pipe and following to the end of the tunnel, we are met with this beautiful, wide opening night sky. It's as if the cavern itself has opened up, that this is but one of many entrances to the larger cave network down below. As we come across, we can see that there's a wall that wraps around the perimeter. In the back, there's even a secret hidden door that we were unable to access. All of it together contributing to the feeling that this isn't some random cave opening, but rather a purposeful, carved out piece of something much larger. And as you might have seen when we first came through, to the right is this gigantic, thundering, burning shrine meant to exemplify the awesome power of the elements. And finally, this cave opening in the back features a small water totem, a glowing shrine of artifacts, grimoires filled with magical secrets, and a bed showing that this is where the shaman lives. I am enthralled by how this is a home that takes that cave idea to the next level, how it's not all just underground, but rather a complete, complicated cave network that tells a story, with each path fitting a different theme, weaving in and out, all of it giving the idea that this is a home in the middle of its journey with many chapters still waiting to be written. And finally, no list of cave homes would be complete without the best kind of cave, the caves full of lava. This is Dirthang on plot number 8 with their absolutely incredible volcano home. And right off the bat, we can tell that the rocks here probably hit the decor limit. Even at the max size, it takes quite a few of these things to be able to fully cover the home, and even more so because they have rather cleverly used the top of the Horde home itself to act as the opening to the volcano, which clues us in that this is not some wild volcano waiting to be conquered, but rather one that has been fully harnessed. And just like on the last one, I want you to remember the plot that the creator has chosen, that we're on this small mountainous outcropping surrounded by water, that this is actually a seaside plot. And on the inside, we can see right away that this is a volcano being harnessed. The ball of magma in the center here with the lightning magic swirling all around it, the chains keeping it in place. And it's coming past the big ball of lava that leads us to this home's main hub. And I love every bit of this dining and living area. The fact that no surface has been left untouched, and yet all of the details feel as though they have been actively living in this space. That thoughtfulness is exemplified by this beautiful oasis in the back, a small hot spring that provides a source of life to the fertile volcanic grounds all around us, including this small study area at the base of the stairs where we can imagine research is read and notes are taken. And as the icing on the cake, if we were to look up from the center, we can see the magma of the volcano itself up above, flowing all down and around, leading to the hot springs that we see down below. Now, coming up the stairs, this is a home that is committed to the theme. We can see different heat vents along the sides of the wall, as though the volcano itself is trying to break in at any moment. And it's at the top where we can see where the creator lives, a cozy outcropping with a bed and some plushies, as well as different treasures and knickknacks along the sides. Next to the bedroom is a bit of a bath/study, where we see some shamanistic artifacts, as well as that really cool mysterious portal on the ceiling with a wolf's head poking through, giving us some hints that this research might be about a little more than just keeping warm. And finally, as we come back to the balcony and we see the lava flowing around us, and the amount of time this must have taken is astounding, because the only pouring lava item in the game is fully straight. So in order to make it look like it's pouring at an angle, that the lava flows on and around the rocks, that it spiderwebs its way down, requires meticulous hand placement of different items over and over again. Now, as we come back down the stairs into this gorgeous living room, we can actually use it as a hub to explore the rest of the home. Coming to the right of the living room, we find ourselves in a combination blacksmith and lab, where we can actually see a lot going on here. The lava itself is being piped into this complicated machine that appears to be studying the effects of it. The machine itself pours into this large burning forge, the green energies around it and the different weapons all across the walls, as though the creator is working to harness the power of the volcano itself for different weapons and armor. At the other end of the lab is a druidic themed hot springs that the creator said they included as a place for their characters to cool off and to get a break from the harsh oranges of the rest of the volcano. And honestly, I love this room for what it represents. This is a home inside a volcano. Its very existence represents man-made order imposed upon the chaos of nature. And yet here, in this room, is man-made chaos imposed upon the order that they themselves made. This is artificial nature designed to give the feeling of the real thing, even as the home itself is designed to turn the real thing into something artificial. If we were to come back to the living room and instead take the left path, we find ourselves in this home's kitchen. A kitchen that includes some of the really cool new decor items that were added with the most recent endeavors, such as the coffee machines on the different tables and on the bar. Coming through the kitchen and to the left, we're met with some bunk beds, a fossil in the wall that we can see is currently being chiseled away, and some burning ancient treasures and beasts uncovered from this volcano's pools of lava. Now hold on to your knee-high thighs, because we're not done yet. If we were to instead come to the right of the kitchen area, through this tarp in the back here, we see not only a lovely little chicken coop, but also a bunch of different knickknacks and other items being stored along the hallway. But it's when we turn around that we get to see this absolutely magnificent giant ship. And if you remember this plot from the outside, this is exactly where the dock would actually be in relation to the home. And I mean, this boat is absolutely magnificent. Not only does it look fantastic, but this is some genius design here to save on decor. Believe it or not, the creator says that this entire room, boat and everything else, is around 800 or less, because that's the amount of decor that they had left after building the volcano. How do you get a boat this magnificent, a room this detailed with 800 decor budget? Well, through some really clever use of the different decor items that they have. For example, the main body of the boat is just one item, the canoe item sized up, while other extra details like the siding are simply coffin items, which themselves are rather cheap. In fact, the most expensive part of this entire model is the banisters and beams included through the masts and through the little side area here on the left. But don't let that decor budget fool you, because there are some incredible details all throughout. Not just in the figurehead at the front, the rudder in the back, the trap door on the top, but there's even a custom-made wheel at the front here. And if we were to take a closer look at the rest of the room, we can see that the incredible detail work continues. There's seashells in the sand, the white froth of the water on the edges. We can see a fishing dock on the right, and at the edge we can see a little tiny island with a little murloc hut meant to invoke the feeling that that is far off in the distance. And as if that isn't enough, all of this is still that same magnificent, breathtaking volcano home from before. Dirthang has absolutely outdone themselves with this build on plot number 8. Absolutely incredible.